Philadelphia's day 3 picks came in a variety of flavors, with a heavy emphasis on both offensive and defensive linemen with freaky athletic builds, including this guy from Nebraska, who I think is the absolute steal of the draft. Plus, don't forget about the Birds' newest edge rusher, fresh off a 16-sack college football season. Oh, and did the Eagles really try to go ahead and draft Shedeur Sanders? And why Saturday was a great day to beat Dallas Goedert? Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Just 3 words sum up day 3 of the NFL draft for the Birds: trades, versatility, and Shedeur, with the first of the bunch being maybe the most interesting, as Howie Roseman moved backwards in the draft over 5 times on day 3, wheeling and dealing and seemingly not interested in making any selections once the Eagles were actually on the clock.
You increase your odds on hitting on guys by having more shots at guys. So we felt like on the 3rd day that was the right strategy for us at this time. We want to increase competition on this team. We felt like if we took multiple darts at positions that we liked players at, it increased our chance on hitting one of those players. So it was based on the board. That was a big reason why we traded back last night, was because we felt like there was a sweet spot here that we can get a bunch of guys that we had similarly graded, and we feel fortunate that that's how today worked out.
Still, Philadelphia did finally, eventually, have to make some picks, and the first of which might be my favorite of the entire weekend. Enter the 111th pick in the draft, Nebraska defensive tackle Ty Robinson, an absolute freak of a human being, towering 6'5" and 288 pounds. He's big, he's physical, and he's also athletic, running the fastest 40 of any defensive tackle at the NFL Combine, along with top 4 times in every other Combine metric during his days in Indy, which obviously is why he earned an RAS of 9.89, giving him the 24th highest RAS score of the 2,033 defensive tackles to ever get an RAS score since 1987. So, yeah, this guy is massive, he's fast, he's an absolute freak, but wait, it gets even better. Also better is your last chance to enter the signed helmet giveaway by dropping a like and leaving a comment. The winner will be chosen randomly from the comments section on Monday's show. Now, Robinson isn't just a run stopper, he's a legit pass rusher as well in the interior, posting a 12% pressure rate in 2024 and 7 sacks as a defensive tackle during his time with the Huskers. But I think his explosiveness, again, as a defensive tackle, is the main reason he got drafted. Oh, and did I mention our keyword earlier? Well, you guessed it, versatility. Robinson lined up everywhere on the Husker defensive line and looked to do the same in Midnight Green.
I feel like, that versatility is something that, I've kind of honed in on, being able to play all over the line. I'm willing to do whatever the coaches need me to do, learn a new role or a new spot, or, I'm just looking to work to, develop myself and become a better player to help the team in any way I can.
Did I also mention he was pre-med at Nebraska and played alongside former Nebraska center Cam Jurgens, who Robinson said played a massive role in the Birds landing their newest defensive tackle.
Yeah, no, me and Cam was a year older than me when I came in, and so I got to kind of see him grow up and learn the position at center. So we got to battle against each other each and every day, so we were pretty close. And then, when he's been back here for a little bit, just doing some workouts, staying, doing off-season stuff, and I just kept kind of joking with him. I said, make sure you put in a good word for me when you go back. And he's like, oh, trust me, I am. So, yeah, no, me and him, I'm super excited to be back and playing with him and going against him every day.
I have seen some people on Twitter complaining about the Eagles draft so far. They like Jihaad Campbell. The safety wasn't that good. The rest of these draft picks, who cares? In my opinion, though, Ty Robinson, an absolute steal in the 4th round. He might be the steal of the entire draft, and of course, he's an Eagle. Now next, Philadelphia spent pick 145 on UCF corner McWilliams, who's a 5'10" cornerback and, you guessed it, is very versatile, his ability to play in both the slot and on the outside. Although personally, I think he's clearly the Avonte Maddox backup nickel replacement.
I feel like I'm a versatile player, so whatever fits the team and whatever the team needs me to play, I'll be there for them. I love my teammates and I love the coaching staff here at the Eagles. So whatever they need me to do, I'll definitely make sure I'll be there and, be willing to do whatever it takes.
I personally don't see Matt competing for a starting role on day 1. He's definitely a project, but if you go back and watch his Senior Bowl tape, he was widely considered the best cornerback of the entire event. A day 3 guy with a ton of upside and a motor to back it up. I'm very excited to see his progress in this very young and competitive cornerback room. Now, while all of this was going on and the Eagles were trading back and then making their selections, there was reporting behind the scenes suggesting Philadelphia could actually have been linked to, wait for it, Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders. And no, I'm actually not kidding. Multiple insiders were legit floating the idea that Deion's son, as he continued to fall, could eventually be an Eagle. And it got to the point where the Cleveland Browns, who eventually went ahead and drafted Shedeur Sanders on Saturday, traded up one spot ahead of, wait for it, the Eagles to take Sanders. Sanders, which NFL Network reporter Ian Rappaport said during the broadcast it potentially was to steal him from the Eagles.
Philadelphia Eagles were interested in Shedeur Sanders, would be a perfect landing spot for him. But the Cleveland Browns just traded over the Eagles. I wonder, obviously they have Dylan Gabriel yesterday. Did the Browns do this thinking the Eagles would take Shedeur, and just maybe?
Okay, so what do I make of this? Well, I think Philadelphia was simply going to take a floater on a quarterback prospect who had fallen in the draft to add to the, wait for it, quarterback factory. Personally, though, I am sure glad we did not get the drama that comes with this kid and add a whole bunch of unnecessary takes during the NFL season.
Did you kind of think, like, when Cleveland traded ahead of you, that you guys were looking at Shedeur Sanders? And if you could talk in general, like, are you kind of surprised he was still there in the 5th round?
Yeah, I feel like the best thing for us to do is focus on the players that we brought in here. You know, it'd be a disservice to the players that we drafted to talk about other teams' players. Obviously, we got enough on our own plate to worry about with the Philadelphia Eagles, so we'll stick to that.
My take, out of the many, on why Shedeur Sanders actually fell, well, all his pre-draft stuff was pretty darn bad. His interviews reportedly were bad. He didn't want to work out for teams, didn't participate at the combine, all things that were red flags for NFL teams. He also has a pretty average overall game and a father who, let's just be honest, is a little bit too involved, not in his personal life, I'm not saying that, but in his NFL career to boot. I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders. I hope he turns out to be great, but Philadelphia grabbing him, it would have created some crazy headlines, but I'm very glad we dodged that bullet. Now back to players actually drafted, and Howie then went for a UGA player because, of course, he had to add another Philly dog and Georgia inside linebacker Smael Mondon at 161.
He's explosive. He is really a fast mover. Space is his friend. Again, we've talked a lot this weekend about this game, and it's really like it's a speed game, and he's another guy who plays really well in space. Obviously, been coached exceptionally well, and it was a very easy pick for us at that time. You know, he just stood out on the board, and it wasn't a position that wasn't necessarily we felt like it was an area of need. It was just the best player at that time.
Now, Mondon started the last 3 years in Athens. That's a big deal. And once again, versatility, no shocker there. He can play the edge, the star, the joker, or even the Sam linebacker position. And some people have Mondon as the 4th best linebacker in somewhat of a weak inside linebacker class. He has all the tools, the size, the physicality, but his main problem is a slower reaction time and bad play recognition. I think he's a day one special teamer in Philadelphia. Maybe he gives Jeremiah Trotter Jr. a run for his money down the line, but definitely not someone I see starting anytime soon. And that's the theme with later round draft picks, is how he finally got his offensive lineman next when he added Boston College center Drew Kendall. Kendall started 31 games at Boston College and finished as a first-team All-SEC player and team captain in 2024. Plus, at one point, he had 350 pass blocking snaps and 0 sacks allowed. And, did I mention it, he's athletic and, wait for it, very versatile, can technically play some guard as well, but clearly he's the main backup for Cam Jurgens, which is a position of great importance because if Beat Jurgie ever goes down, there was no one behind him to pick up the slack.
I mean, very familiar. He's one of the best, if not the best in the game right now. So it's a really incredible opportunity for me to come in and learn from him and just kind of study how he operates, how he gets his jobs done and how he goes about his day to day. So I can't wait. He's a very, very special player, and I can't wait to learn from him.
Philly then spent pick 101 on a quarterback in Syracuse's Kyle McCord, which should right away tell you they probably were actually in, or at least sniffing around, Shedeur Sanders. Either way, McCord had a very good final year at Syracuse and a really great pre-draft process. My question, though, is his mobility and a system designed for Jalen Hurts. They did spend a draft pick on him, so hard to believe he's going to get cut, probably practice squad, but you think Dorian Thompson-Robinson would actually be the leader in the clubhouse to be the quarterback number 3 behind Tanner McKee? Still, when I say quarterback, you know what to say. Factory. The Eagles kept that trend going. Next up, Philadelphia back to the offensive line and this time they had a tackle in Michigan's Myles Hinton. Hinton started a total of 15 games in Ann Arbor and played at both left and right tackle during his career. Versatility. The one thing to know about him is he's massive at 6'6" and will certainly be an interesting student to watch as he attends Statland University, which Hinton will also have a classmate for because Philadelphia went back again to the offensive line with another 6th-round draft pick, this time going for UT's Cameron Willis. And much like Hinton, he too is massive, 6'5", 334 pounds. The best part about Willis, though, is the fact he simply just came out too early, as scouts had him as a high draft pick in 2026 instead of 2025. So very much a developmental prospect, but the bones are really good here for Stout to go ahead and work on.
We're always looking to replenish the offensive line. We go into every draft and look for opportunities to pick offensive linemen. It didn't work in the first couple of rounds when we were picking on Thursday night and Friday. And anytime that an offensive line was the top player on our board, we took him. And we doubled up because it worked out that way, and we weren't going to hesitate to do that.
Last but not least, Philadelphia's 10th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft is probably the most intriguing of the entire class, as they picked Virginia Tech edge rusher Antwaun Powell-Ryland. Now, why do I say he's intriguing? Because he's a 6th-round edge rusher who had a whopping 16 sacks this past season. And yes, you did hear me correct. 6 sacks, 48 total pressures. How is this guy not a top edge rusher in this year's draft? Well, according to Andy DeBona, it all boils down to size. Having, quote, short arms, not the fastest rusher, will probably struggle to set the edge. He's more of a pass rush specialist and a bit on the older side at 23 as well. Still, though, if you get 16 sacks in college at a Power 5 school, sign me up to take a chance on a 6th-rounder with that. I mean, that is an unbelievable stat line, and now you got to see if he can actually play at the next level, but clearly he could do it in college. Why not recreate it in Philadelphia? Now, the other big news that happened today was not actually a part of the draft, but Philadelphia did not end up taking a tight end, following what seemed like nonstop offseason rumors that the Birds were going to trade Dallas Goedert. But on top of not picking his replacement, the NFL Network reported during the draft the Eagles would, quote, like to keep Goedert.
Dallas is part of the team, as we speak. Obviously, as we go forward, we're going to continue to address things on this team, and right now, nothing further. Dallas is a heck of a player, heck of a person. Certainly don't want to do anything publicly where we're discussing anyone's business, but have so much respect for him. Been to 2 Super Bowls together, and obviously would love him on this team. You always love having Dallas on this team, but we're not there right now on any of that. But love Dallas Goedert.
Now, obviously, Philadelphia could still go ahead and trade Dallas Goedert at some point during the offseason, maybe even during training camp, but not drafting a single tight end when they had chances to do so, that tells me Goddard's going to get a rework contract on hopefully a team-friendly structure and then stay in Philadelphia, which to me is great news. I wanted to keep Dallas Goedert, and it looks like Philadelphia's going to. In the end, though, this is a very interesting Eagles draft class. It lacks the weapons, and I think the weapons kind of add the wow when you're envisioning like this steal of a running back or this steal of a wide receiver, but clearly trenches were the main focus by Howie Roseman. And Jihaad Campbell, Ty Robinson, those are 2 home run picks in my opinion. I think Drew Mukuba is going to be kind of the wild card here. If he turns out to be a starter and really good, we're going to look at this draft class and be like, man, it's fantastic. If he struggles, then we'll go, okay, hopefully Campbell picks up the slack. But in the end, they got multiple edge rushers, multiple offensive linemen, and the developmental abilities of Jeff Stoutland and Vic Fangio, and hopefully Nick Sirianni as well, can turn these guys into studs. I'm pumped about the draft class. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. I'm Thomas Mott. It has been a very, very busy overall draft weekend. I've done so many shows, a lot of live streams, pretty tired. Gonna rest and relax, and then of course get back with UDFA starting on Monday. Sure, subscribe. Thomas Mott, this has been the Thomas Mott Show.